All right, everyone, let's get started. So, we are going to be discussing some updates to CAD. This is going to be relevant for both the essentials and the standard application. Let's jump right in, unless we have some leading questions here. Does not appear so. There's enough to discuss that we should get started in order to keep this short. All right, so let's start here. And just make sure everyone can see my screen. Great. I'm going to remove myself from this picture. There we go. All right. So we're going to be looking at the standard version today because while the updates apply to essentials, we'll be able to see how they would be represented there without having to necessarily go in and look at essentials. So one of the biggest components is profile management. So as you can see here now, we have a profile component. And so if, for example, one of the pieces of feedback that we've gotten is that a lot of people have found some real utility in using this for their live trading. When the market opens, though, you don't necessarily need the opening range breakout configuration. You'll need gap features and Globex session, and perhaps range, right? So you'll have Globex range. So if this is going to be your configuration of when you start the day, so this would be your open profile. So now you have your open profile, and when you load the day, if you have your default layout here, switch to your open, and now you can configure the details that you have when the market opens, so that you're prepared to start calibrating expectations. The same thing and actually before we switch, this component is exactly the same in essentials. There's literally no difference. You can go in and also update the configuration for that profile or save new profiles. So the update is pretty straightforward. Now, the same thing exists for chart settings. So for someone who is extending a context study into a signal study, they could go and let's just make this a little bit bigger. Change this to, say, show only breakouts. So no outside bars, just breakout and follow through. And actually, we're still showing big breakouts too. So we would save a new profile. So you have your breakouts profile, and then default. So in the case of the breakouts profile, if you were going to do a research study based on configurations of different periods during the day, so let's say you were going to study breakouts on the open, it would be much easier to configure both your initial filter categories and then your chart component here. Then the same is true of the line settings. So if you change any of your line settings, and we'll just change them all to green for the sake of argument. So you can see we've updated those line settings, and now we have green dash. So updated those. We can always go back to your defaults, but these are now one of your default configurations. So the profiles just give a bit more of that customizability, which a lot of people wanted to see when they were either doing their study or regularly using this for their live trading. So before we continue on to the feature updates, does anyone have any questions? Okay, perfect. So the feature updates are pretty meaningful. The Globex session was not a part of the initial release. So this is something that, and as I'm sure most of you are not surprised about, I am very responsive to market feedback. So if enough people would really benefit from a feature, so long as it is not, onerously difficult to integrate, then I'm probably going to do it. So I got some good feedback from users, and especially those who were using it for live trading, that they wanted to be able to configure their setup for to account for Globex session behavior. So this is all a new feature category. And you can see that you can configure the input for the Globex range, and of course use the tooltips. So the range as a percentage of the 20-day average daily range. And then you have your breakouts of Globex range, which were there before. So these are pre-existing filter conditions. And now we can also track measured moves of the Globex range. So, probability of these events occurring. So new filter category. And now, because we've been spending so much time at all-time highs, just yesterday, I added the feature category to filter by whether the day is creating all-time highs. So you can see here that the market creates, since 2015, the market has created new all-time highs 10% of the time. Well, 10% of days have created new all-time highs. So we can now filter for days when this occurred. And this will give us 271 days, which you can then go and study. So we have all 271. And if you want to do further filtering on these, you obviously can. There's a lot of, let me just set these back to default. There's a lot of variability in the expressions that you see in the price action when the market is creating new all-time highs. So this is really the usefulness of this new feature. If we're going to be spending time at new all-time highs, what can we reasonably expect in terms of our calibrated expectations for the price structures that will most likely develop? So those are the new, let me just hide this. Those are the new features, both filterable features and platform features in terms of the profiles that I have added in the last few weeks since the initial release. And I just wanted to take the time to catch everyone up and let you know how we are developing the tool. And there will be more updates in the future. Obviously, we update let me jump back on camera here. Obviously, we update the platform every week in terms of the data set, which gets updated. But over the coming months, we'll be adding more features, such as the day type and some other modules, which will be kind of the crossover between the standard version, which you see here, and the pro version, which will have a lot more filterability for multi-event features, which this platform is not currently performing. So that'll come later. Not something we need to worry about now. But for now, these are the new updates, and I hope you all, anyone who's using it, is enjoying it. We've gotten some great feedback from the current users. A lot of them Systems Academy students, and then a lot of non-students who are using it for their live trading. And I always love the feedback. Communicating with the subscribers is great. I will probably be starting a weekly stream for a subscriber-only stream and discussing different strategies for using the tool. But so look out for that if you are a subscriber. And otherwise, leave any questions on the video, and I'll make sure to get to them soon. And I appreciate your time today. Have a great afternoon.